So, Deanya, let's talk about something that people don't want to talk about. Let's talk about small business ownership frustrations.
Oh yeah, because small businesses have no problems. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And here's the truth of it, though, is that most people don't share those problems.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost like when you have family issues, like you don't talk about it. And so everybody thinks everybody else's family is just perfect.
Yeah. We're used to sharing our highlight reels, and I think that's one
Hmm.
of the reasons why a lot of small businesses don't make it is because the expectations may not be realistic because people are not sharing some of the frustrations and challenges and things like that and with a small business. So I think it's important to talk about these kind of things.
Yeah. So um, I'm feeling a bit frustrated today. So this will go well. I can speak to the frustration because I mean it the frustration is always there. It's
Hmm.
just like what level of frustration,
Hmm.
right? Like sometimes I've got sales frustrations, those go away, and then I'll have, maybe staffing frustrations or client frustrations. It's like there's
Hmm.
always something.
Hmm.
But let's talk about a few of these because I do think there are some common frustrations,
Hmm.
and there's a couple things I want to talk about. One is that first of all, let's just bring them to light because
Hmm.
people think they're the only ones that have these problems and frustrations, and that's not true.
Right. Yeah.
And then let's talk about some things that people can potentially do to address some of these common frustrations.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So number one, and this happens from day one, you're wearing too many hats.
Yeah.
And you can't get around it, all right? Like you don't have a job description that says I'm a solopreneur and I'm only going to do this one thing. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to go out and perform the work that your company does. Then you have to go do the back end stuff. You send the invoice, you have to do the taxes and the payroll and the operations and the marketing and I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, and it's a lot by default because if you're just starting out, it's just you, and you want to grow to a point to where you can begin delegating things, but initially your finances may not be able to support the delegation of all the things you would like to delegate. So you have to do it. Somebody's got to do it. You can't ignore the different parts of business. So you have to do it. There is no one else until you're able to afford someone else to delegate those things to. So by default, in the beginning, you are taking on everything. And the goal is to grow to the point of where you can delegate as much as you can and buy back your time. But it takes time to do that. So yeah, that can be a big thing, and when you're juggling all of that, it can lead to overwhelm to where you get so overwhelmed doing all of those things that when you have decisions that you need to make, you can get paralyzed because you're analyzing all of these things. It's called analysis paralysis, where you're analyzing all of these things. You don't want to make a wrong move, you don't want to make the wrong decision, and it's just so much on your plate to where you do nothing, and that could be, you can shoot yourself in the foot that way, by just not moving, not making decisions, not doing anything because you're thinking about everything versus kind of streamlining your thoughts and tackling one thing at a time. You're trying to tackle everything at the same time, and your brain can only handle but so much. So,
I
yeah.
know. Yeah. I once had a guy tell me, he's like, making the wrong decision is better than not making any decision.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? It's not the way people typically think, but when you kind of think about it, yeah, you're right. Because if you don't make any decision at all, you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
with a wrong decision, at least you have some data.
Yeah, you're stuck. You're stuck if you don't make a decision. You don't know what's right, what's wrong. At least with a wrong decision, it's the, process of elimination. Oh, well, we won't do that anymore. Oh, well, we won't make that decision anymore. But if
Hmm.
you don't do anything, you stay stuck right where you are and you have no data. You don't know what's good, what's bad, what works, what doesn't work because you're just stuck. You're just paralyzed. And that doesn't, you can't even stay there for long because You'll feel the consequences of that.
Yeah. So number one common frustration is overwhelm, and
Yeah.
it comes in all kind of different ways, but overwhelm is definitely one of them.
Yep.
Our next one is I'll call it people pressure.
Yeah.
So it's, hiring people, that in and of itself, the hiring process is not fun.
Mhm.
Then training those people,
Mhm.
keeping them employed,
Mhm.
um, getting them up to speed on what they should be doing. And
Mhm.
to me, that's probably one of my bigger frustrations, because I'm one of these, like, I told you how to do it, go do it.
Right.
I am not a micromanager. And so, for some people, they need some micromanagement, or at least in the beginning, they need some of that.
Mhm.
That's more difficult for me, because I'm more of the, here it is, I told you how to do it, I showed you how to do it, go do it.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
come back to me with this.
Yeah, that can be hard. I mean, especially, you're trying to hire, because again, you're trying to buy back your time. You're trying to get out of this place of overwhelm. So you need help. You need to expand your team either through contractors, employees, or other agencies or something. And finding the right people is like, that's time consuming because you got
Yeah,
to find the people that align with your goals and your values and buy into the vision and of what you're trying to do. And sometimes you can't spot that right away.
yeah,
Sometimes you
it's
bring people
weeks.
on and you're like, oh no, this ain't it.
Yeah,
This
and
ain't
then
it.
you have to go through the whole firing
Yeah.
somebody, which is, for most people not fun. I think you enjoy it, but for most people, it's
Hate it. It's like, oh, you're fired. But
yeah,
no, that's not fun because, you got to deal with the disappointment. Well, it's not even just the disappointment of, hurting someone's feelings, but I got to go through this all over again and find another person. And it's like, I don't want to do all of that. I'm just ready to work. Let's just move. I don't want to
yeah.
go through all of this. So you
But
got that.
I think that's why people keep bad talent.
Yeah.
It's because of all the frustration around hiring and firing
Hmm.
and dealing with them. I mean, a number of times I've had people say, but they've been here so long and they're trained, and I like, but they're terrible.
Yeah, they're trained in a bad way. Like,
Yeah. And all they're saying is, I just don't want to go through all the frustration
yeah.
of
Yeah.
doing this again, even if it's going to be a better outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the flip side of it is, okay, you actually picked some really good teammates, some really good employees, and now you got to keep them. Now you got to keep them. You got to keep them employed. And it's like now you got the burden because it's
Mhm.
like they become part of your business family, and you got this flow, you got a workflow going on, and you got this synergy happening in the business. And now you need sales and things like that to support it. So now there's another weight because you naturally start caring about the people. I hope you start caring about the people that you bring onto your team and you start thinking about their families and the finances that they are receiving through your company. What happens if you have to cut that off and downsize, or what if you have to pull back? That's just an extra pressure, it's extra weight that you carry because you don't want to let anybody down on your team, and that's a lot. So that's the flip side of hiring great people. When they're not great, you're like, they're fired. I'll just downsize and no big deal because I don't really like them anyway. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah.
The harder part of that is I have seen people where they hold on so tightly and so long that instead of getting rid of one or two people, they end up holding on to the point where the whole business goes down.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's like, now you had to fire everybody, including
Yeah,
yourself.
including yourself. Yeah, the whole thing just tanked. So
Yeah.
you have to be wise, you got to make wise decisions, for the business. And I mean, you have to be able to ride the economic times because there are seasons of heavy growth, and then there's seasons where it's kind of static, and then there's seasons where it's not growing. Like, let's be real, you can talk to any successful business, and no successful business if they've been around long enough, will ever say, "Oh, it's always been uphill." It's like this, kind of almost like the stock market, where it's like it's up and then it's down and then it's up, and you hope that overall there's this upward trend overall, but there may be some years where it's not that profitable, and then there are other years where you're killing it, you know? So it's just, if you're in business long enough, you're gonna feel some of that downward turn, and hopefully you can pivot that well and navigate that well to experience the upward turn again. But it comes with the territory of business. So you will probably experience layoffs. You may have to experience downsizing, and you need to be wise about it. Are you going to downsize, or are you going to completely close? So which one are you going to pick? So, but either way, it's still not an easy decision, and
Mm.
it's it's a no-brainer when it comes to keeping the business open, but it can be emotional when you have to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I hear new entrepreneurs are always like, I can't wait to hire people and everybody's doing all the work and I don't have to do so much work. And I'm like, be careful what you ask for.
yeah,
Because the grass is not greener.
yeah,
There's a lot more involved, a lot more work. And honestly, you could be making a lot more revenue, but bringing home less money.
yep. That's so true. It's so, because you're supporting more people now, and so your expenses go up big time. You
Hmm.
know, it goes up big time. So it's like, hey, we're making, that's why I always kind of laugh, especially with, because I know how businesses are run, and everyone's, oh, I make this, brought in this much revenue. And I'm like, but how much of it was profit?
Yeah, I
Like,
know. Doesn't really matter how much you brought in.
yeah, like how much went out, you know? So yeah, so that's true. That's the hidden things people don't talk about.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, that kind of leads into my next one, which is the financial pressures. So
Mm,
cash flow, that's the money we see coming in and out constantly. And
yeah.
cash flow, man, that can really kill your business if you don't handle cash flow properly.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, with revenue versus profits. You can have revenue coming in, but if it's not profitable, there's only but so long that you can last with no profits, and especially if you're in the negative, then eventually you have no capital, and which means you have no business.
Hmm.
So, just keeping an eye on what's coming in versus what's going out, and how to make those differences in that cash flow. What do you need to do in terms of sales, and what do you have to do in terms of expenses, and eliminating that? Just juggling all of that kind of thing. You can't ignore it. You have to look at those numbers and keep your eye on those numbers, and don't wait to evaluate those numbers. You should always be looking at that. So that's something, that's another, thing that's on the small business owner's shoulders, is that's always in the back of your mind, like, I'm seeing we're in the red here. How long, how long you gonna
Yeah.
be in the red? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, with finances, one of the biggest um, problems I see when they're starting out is they're not charging enough.
Hmm.
And that's for a number of reasons, but oftentimes it's because they don't think that they're worth that
Yeah.
amount. Or they'll say, I want to make $100 an hour. And
Hmm.
so they charge $100 an hour and
Hmm.
they're like, I'm making $100 an hour. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah. Right.
Your business is making $100 an hour,
Hmm.
but you've got all these additional taxes and stuff you have to pay. And plus you can't grow,
Hmm.
because if you want to make $100 an hour, that's all you're charging.
Yeah.
There's no way you don't have the room to bring in somebody else.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of folks out there. They're like, well, I can't grow. I can't afford to grow. I can't afford to hire. You're probably not charging enough.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why. And it's funny because when I remember years ago starting the business, I was like, I don't understand why they're charging so much. I can do it for half that price.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, you can do it for half that price, but you're never going to be a business. You're going to
Hmm.
be a guy that you created a job for himself.
Yep. Yeah. And then you get to experience, as you get more wise, and you say, hey, I'm worth more than this, and I should
Hmm.
be charging a lot more than this, then what will naturally happen is when you raise your rates, your current clients may drop. Some of them are going to drop because you have now priced them out. They can't afford your new rates. So your clients, the number of clients will go down, even though your revenue may flatline or may even go up. It may when I say flatline, like plateau, it doesn't go down, it doesn't go up, but the amount of work that you are doing goes down because the number of clients begin to drop, and but you're charging more. And so the different side of it is that now that you have a smaller amount of clients, you can sometimes put yourself in this danger zone to where it's like, well, we're doing less work. We may be making a little bit more money, but we haven't really brought in new clients. But now you have, instead of just say 10 clients, you have five. What happens if two of those clients drop? So
Mm.
now it's like you have all of the burden, all the pressure on just these little bit of clients, where it's like, oh, if they drop though, your business is going under, So
Hmm.
it's like you got to go and get those clients, even though you're raising your rates, you got to, add to those number of clients so that all of your business doesn't hinge on just a couple of clients, because they're not going to stay with you forever. No client stays with you for a lifetime. At some point, they're gonna drop. And is your business gonna go under because you only have two clients and one of them drops? Then now what are you gonna do? So that's the other side of raising rates, is you gotta go find clients to support the new rates. So
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, our next one on the list here is constant problem solving, which this is burnout. Like at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you are mentally spent. It's
Yeah.
like my wife's like, "Where do you want to go eat dinner?" I'm like, "I can't make another decision today.
Right.
I just can't."
It doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah, I don't even care if I eat. Just a bowl of cereal is fine. I just can't make another decision.
Yeah, that's a real thing. And you have to be careful about that, because if you burn out, you can crash your entire business by accident.
Mhm.
Because it kind of goes back to the other things that we're talking about with overwhelm and analysis paralysis and not making any kind of decision when you need to make decisions because you've made so many of them. You're like, I don't know what to do now. It's just too much at one time. So, yeah, it's that burnout is a real thing. It's a real thing. And if you're not careful, you could accidentally sabotage your own business just because you're like, I'm done. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it is because when all these other things we've been talking about kind of build up, it's very easy for you just to say, I don't understand what I'm even doing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm doing anything anymore. And that kind of leads into our last one, which is loneliness and isolation. So your
Mm-hmm.
mental health takes a big impact. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't talk about business owners, especially small business owners, and the
Mm-hmm.
mental health impact of
Mm-hmm.
feeling like you're alone all the time. No, your friends and family don't understand
Nope.
what you're doing, what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it. Why would you ever work for yourself, make half the money and work twice as long? Makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, I think a lot of times they don't even know all of that. I think a lot of times friends and family they're attracted to the glitz of the sound of, oh, they have their own business, and they assume there are no problems. They assume that, oh, they're killing it, and it's like, not necessarily, and especially with me personally being in business for a decade now. It's like, I'm a branding agency. Of course I look like I'm killing it. Of course. Like, that's what we do. We make you look like you're killing it. That's what we do. But you may be like struggling. You might be on the struggle bus. Everybody's, oh, you guys are killing it. you know?
Yeah, because I mean, your clients and your prospects, they don't want to do business with somebody who's struggling. They
Right.
want to they want to do business with somebody who's like, they got it going on, they're crushing it.
Yeah.
Which is that, and that's the problem, right? It's like you can't show the reality of this is hard
Yeah.
and this is a struggle. You can't do that because then people just go, I don't want to do business with them. They
It's
might be
not
going,
working for them.
I know. It's terrible, man. It's terrible.
Yeah. So that's a real thing. And again, you can get caught up in your own thoughts if you don't have anyone to talk to, and that could be a downward spiral if you're not thinking properly. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And this is where the peer groups, now it could be a peer group with people in your own industry or just peer groups of business owners.
Hmm.
These are very good groups to be in. My experience has been that even in those groups though, you'll have somebody who's like, oh, I'm still crushing it every day. And then if you get them to the side and you start questioning them, you're like, dude, you got more problems than I got. Like, quit, come on now.
Yeah.
We're trying to be real here and help each other out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Don't tell me you got it all figured out.
Yeah. And I don't think people realize how helpful it is in those types of peer groups, for entrepreneurs. Like if you keep it real, it's actually encouraging. Like, oh, you're struggling too. It's not just me, because you could be thinking that I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what maybe I don't know what I'm doing anymore, that kind of thing. But then you realize this is a trend here. Everybody is experiencing and feeling the same thing. Maybe this is more economic. Maybe this is more, I don't know, cultural. Maybe there's a shift happening and everyone is feeling it. It's not just you. It can build your confidence a little bit to know that you're not necessarily doing anything wrong, but everyone's feeling the same thing. And now you can make decisions a little bit different and not be so self-deprecating in your thoughts to where you're like, I just suck. I can't do anything. You're just like, no, it's not you. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had one recently. We've had some clients that to leave for all kind of reasons, and it's all coming at one time. So
Mm-hmm.
we had business that sold, so they, sold their business, and so we lost them as a client. We had one that retired, lost their business, so we lost their business. We had one that got hit very bad by some of the cuts, and, government
Mm.
funding, and so they're on a life, whatever. I was gonna say life alert. they, they're on life support.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if their business is going to make it. So they're cutting all kind of costs. And so here I am, and I'm like, dude, I've lost a few $1,000s a month all at one time.
Mm.
And I go to one of my peer groups, which we meet every week over Zoom. And this other guy in the peer group's telling me how he just lost a $20,000 a month client,
Mm.
because some of the same issues, but I'm thinking, dude, you lost, like 7 times more than I
Yeah.
lost.
Right.
But, it was for me, I'm going into that peer group meeting like, oh man, this is terrible. And I hate to be the one to report these numbers. And then when he says what he says, I'm like, oh, I'm not too bad
We're
after.
doing pretty good.
It puts things into perspective. But
Yeah.
again, like you said, it's just about being real. Like people, if you're in business, you're going to have those times when you're just crushing it and you're nailing it and you're just landing everything. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have those times where the needle's not moving in the direction you want it to move.
Yeah.
And you're paddling like crazy and you're still sinking.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have both.
Mm-hmm.
And it's healthy to talk about them.
Yep. Yep. It is.
Yeah. So let's talk about probably the overarching thing here, which is when all these things happen, when you're having overwhelm and you're having pressure with, people and financial pressure and burnout and mental health issues, I have found that the only thing that really keeps me going is my why.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I even doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why does this matter to me so much that I would put up with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important because that's what grounds you. You have to go back to why did you start this thing and why are you in it? Because sometimes during that up and down thing. Like I said, like the stock market is just up and down. Sometimes when you hit those lows, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense where it's like, okay, this is not profitable. I'm working longer than the people who have jobs. Why would I do this? Why would I keep doing this when I'm not making anything? I'm losing right now. If
Mhm.
you don't remember why you did this or got started in the first place, then you probably quit. You'll quit because it doesn't
Mhm.
make sense anymore. And for those who are just starting, like you better have a good reason. You gotta
Yeah,
have a
and
good reason to start this thing because when it gets tough, that's the thing that's gonna keep you going.
it is. I think a lot of folks get their why confused in the beginning.
Mhm.
When you talk to especially new business owners, like why this business? Well, I'm good at HVAC, and so that's why I got into it. Okay, that's not your why.
Mhm.
Or and I used to say this all the time, like I got into business because I wanted to help people and
Mhm.
do. No, not really.
Mhm.
I've learned over the years that's not my why.
Mhm.
My why is very personal and a lot deeper than that.
Mhm.
I enjoy helping people, and that's part of how I get to my why,
Mhm.
but that's not the why.
Mhm.
And you've got to really sit down and think about that. Like,
Yeah.
why? Because you could help other people working for somebody else.
Mhm.
All right. You could do HVAC work. I'm just picking on HVAC people. You could do that working for somebody else. All those things you talk about as your why, you can do it working for somebody else.
Mhm.
Why are you doing it as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's very important. It grounds you for sure. And, when you begin to go back to those roots, it can also actually help your sales when you start talking about it because people are like, oh, they begin to connect and they begin to get inspired and then they want to do business with you because sometimes you can get caught up in the minutia, the marketing minutia, where it's like I've done this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this and your voice gets lost and you're just kind of going through the motions, but sometimes it's just going back to that why and you start talking about it. Talk to yourself about it. Talk about it out loud and people are like, "Huh, I love this. I want to do business with you." So it has a way of kind of bringing you out of those dark places
Mhm.
and kind of giving you a boost, but it definitely helps you sustain, and to keep going. So, but like you said, it's important to understand what that is initially because you're gonna need it when times get bad. You're gonna need to go back to that. So,
Yeah, you
yeah.
definitely have to lean into it. And if you have a partner, married, whatever, they provide a huge impact
Mhm.
on standing behind you and with you on that journey.
Yeah, for sure.
It's if they're not in it, and if they don't understand the why, if they're not part of the why, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and I know that people think about business differently. But for me personally, um, business is definitely interwoven into my life when it comes to work-life balance. I don't like there's no such thing. Like work is life and it's all in balance and it's like it's just
Yeah.
interwoven. Like I can't separate these things. And so I don't understand how people can go into business or start businesses without the support of their spouses and their loved ones because it's going to take a lot of time. You need the support. You need the support just time wise. You need the support financially. You need the support mentally and emotionally. And so it's like a family decision when you go into it. And if it's not, when those times get bad or when you really have to like put in those extra hours and you
Mhm.
don't have the support of your family, that's when families tend to split because it's like, well, you got loyalty issues and
Yeah.
priority issues and all kind of stuff like that. So I don't know how people go into business without the support of their family. I don't know how
Mhm.
to. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way.
Nope. then your husband look at you like, I didn't agree with this stuff to begin
Yeah,
with. So,
right.
don't come to me crying when things are, you on your own. I told you to stay at the other
Right.
job.
Yeah, yeah. And then they, you might have someone that's like, you need to hang this up and you want to keep going. Like, oh man, that's more mental pressure. I don't see how people could do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, gotta have that
So,
support for sure.
yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. There are some common business frustrations and some things you can think about. Certainly if you don't know your why, you need to go find it. There's plenty of materials and books out there on that. So go check it out. But you definitely want to make sure that you protect your mental health.
Mhm.
Everybody that is in business is going through frustrations in different levels and different reasons and different whys.
Yep.
So you're not alone. Until next time, though, make sure keep your head up and keep on marketing.
Keep on keeping on.